Emma Reynolds had always believed in fairy tales. As a child, she would curl up in her mother's lap and listen to stories of princesses, brave knights, and happily ever afters. So when she met Daniel, a handsome, driven young lawyer with a smile that could melt glaciers, she believed her story was beginning just like in the books. Their whirlwind romance had everything: laughter in the rain, kisses on rooftops, late-night talks about dreams and futures. Emma was a schoolteacher, humble and hopeful, while Daniel was climbing fast in the world of corporate law. Opposites in many ways, but something about their souls clicked like puzzle pieces long separated. Asterisk. They married under a canopy of twinkling lights in a garden filled with roses. Emma remembered the way Daniel looked at her as if she were the only thing that mattered in the world. And for the first 2 years, everything was perfect. Or so she thought. Asterisk. Emma always wanted to be a mother. She grew up watching her mother juggle 3 jobs and still make time for hugs, bedtime stories, and birthday cupcakes. Emma wanted to give that kind of love to her own children. So when she found out she was pregnant, she cried tears of joy and immediately began knitting tiny socks and painting stars on the nursery walls. But Daniel's reaction wasn't quite the same. Asterisk. At first, he smiled and said all the right things. But beneath the surface, Emma could feel something shift. He came home later, answered fewer texts, and started talking about projects and clients instead of baby names and future plans. Emma hoped it was just nerves or work stress. She told herself to be patient, to understand. Asterisk. But patience is heavy when you're carrying a child and feeling more alone than ever. Asterisk. When the baby came, it was both the most magical and most terrifying day of her life. A beautiful, healthy baby boy named Liam, with her eyes and Daniel's dimpled chin. As she held him for the first time, tears of wonder slipped down her cheeks. She was someone's mother now. Asterisk. She waited for Daniel to walk into the hospital room, scoop Liam into his arms, and tell her that he finally understood, that he was ready. But what happened instead shattered her world. Asterisk. Daniel walked in with his jaw tight and his hands trembling. Not with awe, but with anxiety. He didn't. Look at the baby. He looked at her. Asterisk. I can't do this, he said. The words fell like stones. Asterisk. Emma blinked. What? What do you mean? Asterisk. I've been thinking about this for a long time, he continued, avoiding her eyes. I don't want to be a father. I don't want this life. I'm sorry, Emma. I'm filing for divorce. Asterisk. The room froze. The soft beeping of the monitors suddenly sounded like sirens. Emma couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. The baby in her arms stirred, unaware that his father was walking out on him. On them. Asterisk. Daniel, please, she whispered, desperate, confused. You said you loved me. This is our child. Asterisk. I do love you, he said, and somehow that made it worse. But not the way you need me to. I tried. But I'm not cut out for this life. I can't be the man you need. And then, just like that, he was gone. The following weeks were a blur of diapers, legal papers, and shattered dreams. Emma tried to hold herself together for Liam, but every time she closed her eyes, she saw Daniel's back walking away. He had given everything to this marriage. She had built her world around a man who abandoned her the moment life got hard. Asterisk. She could have broken. Many people expected her to. But Emma Reynolds was not the kind of woman who let life define her. One sleepless night, she rocked Liam and looked out the window at a world that felt too big and too cold. She made a vow not just for herself, but for her son. She would rise. She would show Liam what strength looked like. She wouldn't just survive, she would thrive. Asterisk. She started small. She began tutoring students online while Liam napped. She started a blog about single motherhood, raw and honest, which gained a surprising following. Her words vulnerable, brave, and true touched hearts across the country. Women began messaging her, telling her she gave them courage. Emma found herself growing into someone she never knew she could be. Asterisk. She learned to change tires, fix plumbing, balance a budget, things Daniel had always taken care of. Now, she did it all while bouncing a baby on her hip. Asterisk. But the world still wasn't kind. Her landlord threatened eviction when she fell behind on rent. Grocery money ran low more than once. Emma cried in the shower so Liam wouldn't hear. But through it all, she kept moving forward. Every no fueled her determination. Every sleepless night became a brick in the foundation of her new life. Then one day, something unexpected happened. Her blog caught the attention of a local news outlet. They featured her story in a segment called Unseen Heroes.
The video
went viral. Offers came flooding in sponsorships, speaking engagements, book deals. Emma was overwhelmed, but grateful. She used the money to move into a better apartment, one with sunlight in the kitchen and a little garden in the back where Liam could play. But success didn't change her heart. She started a support group for single mothers. She gave back. She showed up. She became the woman she needed when she was left alone in that hospital room. And just when she thought she had nothing left to give, the universe gave her something back. One evening, she stood in front of a packed auditorium delivering a keynote on resilience. She spotted someone in the back row, Daniel. He looked older, sadder, regretful. But this story wasn't about him. Anymore, it was about her. Her voice didn't falter. Her message didn't change. She looked into the crowd and said, "Life doesn't always go as planned. People will leave. Hearts will break. But you are not broken. You are being rebuilt." And the room erupted. Emma smiled not for the applause, but because she finally believed the words herself. And as she walked off that stage, holding Liam's hand, 1,000 strangers on their feet, she knew she had rewritten her fairy tale. But her story was far from over. The spotlight had faded, the applause long silenced, but the impact of that night lived on. Emma Reynolds had not only stood on a stage as a keynote speaker, she had stood as a symbol. A woman once discarded in her most vulnerable moment had risen from the ashes of betrayal, stronger, fiercer, and more inspiring than anyone expected. But what happened next? Not even Emma. The days that followed were a whirlwind. Her email inbox overflowed with interview requests, partnership proposals, and letters from women across the world who saw themselves in her story. Emma tried to answer every message, often with Liam curled in her lap, babbling away as she typed. She knew the spotlight could fade any day, but the difference she could make, that was real, permanent. Still. Something lingered in the back of her mind. Daniel. She hadn't spoken to him since that night. After her speech, he'd disappeared like smoke. No messages, no emails, no apologies. And in truth, she didn't expect them. Daniel had made his choice. She had made hers. But a quiet part of her heart still carried the scar he left behind. Not for herself anymore, but for Liam. Will he ever know his father? She wondered one night, watching her son sleep. Will he ask me one day why his dad walked away? Then. The unexpected knock came. It was a Tuesday, rain tapping at the windows. Emma, in sweatpants and a messy bun, opened the door, and there he was. Daniel, drenched in rain, holding nothing but an envelope and a look of sorrow so deep it chilled her to the bone. Emma, please, I need to talk. Her instincts screamed no. She didn't know him anything. Not a word, not a second chance. But she also wasn't the woman she used to be. She wasn't afraid of pain anymore. Oh. She'd faced it, bled from it, and built an empire on top of it. So she stepped aside. Just once. He sat on her couch, dripping wet and silent for what felt like an eternity. Then he spoke. I've watched everything, he began. The news, the interviews. That night at the auditorium, I was there, Emma. I saw you. I saw what I lost. She said nothing. I was a coward, he continued, choking up. I thought I couldn't be a father. I thought the baby would ruin my life, but the truth is, I didn't know how to love anyone but myself. He handed her the envelope. Inside, A handwritten letter and legal documents, transferring all his parental rights, offering full custody, no strings attached. I know I have no right to call myself his father, but I had to make it official. I want you to know. This is your story now, not mine. Asterisk Emma felt an unexpected calm. Not anger, not sorrow, just peace. Asterisk, you were right to leave, she said softly, because you gave me a chance to become me. Asterisk. He stood to go, and before he left, whispered, he's lucky to have you. Asterisk. The door closed, asterisk, and with it, so did a chapter. What Emma did next stunned even those closest to her. She sold the rights to her memoir, not for fame, not for fortune, but to start something bigger, the Liam Foundation, an organization dedicated to supporting single mothers, abandoned women, and children growing up without one parent. Her mission? No woman should ever feel the way she did, left in a hospital bed with a newborn and no partner by her side. Asterisk with donations and revenue pouring in. She bought an old warehouse and turned it into a vibrant support center. Free daycare, job training, mental health counseling, legal help. Was a village, the one she had needed when she had none. And she named the first wing after her mother, the strongest woman she had ever known. Asterisk her. Her story inspired a best-selling documentary. She was invited to speak at the United Nations, advocating for maternity protections and father accountability worldwide. Her TED Talk, Abandoned, Not Broken, reached over 50 million views. But through it all, Emma stayed grounded. She dropped Liam off at preschool every morning. She packed his lunch with notes that read, "You are brave, or you make the world better." She read to him every night, sometimes her own book, sometimes his favorite pirate stories. And every Sunday, they'd bake cookies together, a tradition she created to make sure Liam always remembered love came from the little things. One day, a reporter asked her, "Emma, what would you say to the woman who's just been left, who's holding a newborn and feeling like her world is over?" Emma paused, tears welling up, not from pain anymore, but from the sheer weight of how far she'd come. "I would say, you are not alone. You are not broken. You are the beginning of something powerful. You are going to build a life so beautiful that the person who left you won't even recognize you when they look back." The video of that answer went viral. But it wasn't for clout or attention. It was because truth has a way of traveling fast, especially when spoken by someone who lived it. Years passed. Liam grew up in a home full of warmth, laughter, and courage. On his 10th birthday, Emma gave him a box. Inside were photos, letters, and the truth about his birth and his father's absence. She cried as she told him. But Liam, wise beyond his years, hugged her and said, "He may have left, Mom, but you showed me what real love looks like." And in that moment, Emma knew. What she did, choosing not to break, choosing to build, wasn't just unexpected, it was revolutionary. Her story wasn't just a tale of heartbreak and healing, it was a movement. So to every woman reading, watching, or listening, remember her name, remember her journey, and remember that no matter what life takes from you, you get to decide what comes next. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, subscribe for more powerful, real-life inspired stories that remind us of the strength within us all. Your support helps us tell more stories that matter.